This really reminded me a lot of like a Mike Lee movie, only it's like the grimy New
He's
York
like
version,
trust fund Mike Lee.
seedier version.
The scatological Mike Lee.
I'm just gonna.
I was shocked to discover there are 2 sequels to this movie.
Yeah.
It's actually okay.
I am
It's a trilogy.
interested. I am
Hold on.
interested in the 2 sequels to this movie. Actually,
Yeah, so this is a trilogy. This is part of a trilogy,
I did not know that.
which I don't think he intended when he first made this, but
sounds like he intended it when he made the second one.
Yeah. But
Bay Grim.
but we'll
Grim,
I'll talk about it
Parker
at the end. But I don't like that it's a trilogy, and I look at this film as its own piece.
I'd seen this years and years and years ago, and I kind of remember sort of liking it. I liked it better this time, but it's definitely a rough ride at times. Like every character, almost every single character in this movie at some point does something that makes you go, oh God. Well, like, and I get that's how messy life tends to be. I really like the guy.
This is the true hero of the film right here.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure.
Owner, definitely.
And I do like this guy made a big impression on me. Like I think the movie he made right after this was Woody Allen's Sweet and Lowdown, where he plays the guitar player in Sean Penn's Combo. I really like. That's one of my favorite Woody movies.
Django Reinhardt.
That's a good movie. Yeah.
James Urbaniak is a great actor. Like he's fucking incredible.
He comes dangerously close to playing like this character is like sort of one note, but then every time I feel like he's about to stay there, he goes somewhere interesting.
He gets hit in the back with a bunch of boiling water and just screams for a long time.
One note. How about
I like a lot of the actors in this. I think Parker. I was always oh good, Parker Posey. Like
this is a Parker Posey positive podcast. If anyone disagrees with that, unsub now and never listen to anything we have.
She is the
best thing Camille
Parker Posey is a national treasure.
Party.
Okay, she's a national treasure. She is the original indie queen.
Yeah,
and to be adored and protected.
And also go watch Blade Trinity. She's amazing in Blade Trinity.
That does not lie.
This being said, Henry Fool is everything I've always hated about independent film in this era. It's twee. It's talking about airy.
It's too. Like this movie. This movie is at least 18 minutes too long.
This movie's about freaking poetry. I mean, it's just like a guy's talking about what a great player. It's like he was like he was going to be a baseball player. It didn't make none of it made the least bit of sense. Now, having said
that again, and I'll crip you in 3 different ways. You boozed up Philistine.
No, beginning Act 1, Act 2, I was completely annoyed by the film, but in the Act 3 saved it.
I would like to take this.
When he wins the freaking Nobel Prize for literature.
No, it wasn't.
Which is amazing.
No, it wasn't really
amazing.
At that point in the film, it started being real stakes. When Henry got Faye pregnant, things started mattering. Before, nothing mattered. You're just yakking about bullshit for like an hour. And when things started mattering, things really started mattering. And I thought it had a great ending.
I did find it fascinating that this movie jumps forward in time 5 or 6 years without barely any acknowledgement at all that this has happened.
There are 2 incredible time shift cuts. No, but there's 2 incredible time shift cuts in this movie. The first one is when Simon shows up in the hospital and he's holding the bag and he's standing there and he's talking to him. And then it cuts and he's sitting next to him in the chair. And John Frankenheimer described this one time as that's one of the hardest things you can do in a movie is do a short period of time, a couple of minutes or maybe an hour.
I just put this in the chat like a week ago.
Where you can cut to like I'm standing. I'm standing here talking to you, and now I'm sitting here talking to you, and the stakes have changed in that cut. And then the other one is going from the end of that scene to the kids sitting like this outside, like
with her hair.
Those are incredible time cuts. Like what's the director's name?
Hal Hartley.
he does an incredible job at several points in this movie in just deciding that we're going to shoot this way and it's going to explain it, and then we're going to shoot it this way and it's going to explain something else. Like he does it very well. But he also decided to leave the shitting scene in the movie.
Oh, that was the best scene.
Oh, that's the best scene.
No, it's not.
It is. I thought of you.
I've never seen a defecation proposal scene in any other movie.
Exactly.
I mean,
Just because you haven't seen it before, it doesn't make it good.
And then
Like,
Parker Posey starts kissing his hands. And
No,
I was
it
just
got
like,
you.
I almost vomited. Seriously,
Well,
I
he
almost
hasn't
vomited.
wiped yet, so the hands are still clean.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
you also haven't seen somebody throw up on somebody else's ass when they're told to kiss it, unless you pay a lot of money.
and
on
that
the
was
internet.
as bad as that
There's
scene
the
was
clip.
good.
No, that was a good scene.
You like the vomiting on the ass scene too?
Yeah, it was erotic.
I'm not saying. I'm not saying it's bad.
At
I'm
that
just
point, you're
saying
like, oh,
if
I'm
we're
all
talking
in.
about
I'm
things
in.
you haven't seen.
I'm not
before.
saying it's bad, but it was good.
Also, at one point, I think
I just realized where Jim wore out the VHS copy of this.
Yeah. Oh, go back to your Avion water.
Anyway,
No, that's the other movie. This was Budweiser and
They
Jet
blur
Books.
together.
Yeah, this was Budweiser.
Yeah.
This one
Budweiser
was
and Jet
Budweiser.
Books.
I do think this is a much better movie than Pumpkin.
Oh,
This is a
fuck yeah.
skillfully
for sure.
skillfully made movie. And by the way, it looks phenomenal. I don't remember. I watched it a few years ago because I knew it was Jared's. Have you said this yet? Jared's favorite film?
Well,
That's why I watched it.
It's impossible for any of us here
To name.
You know how when we talk to people who aren't into films and they go, "Well, what's your favorite movie?" And you
Yeah.
go,
I just lied, Jared.
Yeah.
I have a favorite movie.
I tell them.
Okay,
Casino
so
Royale, 1966.
I just
Okay,
tell
well,
people,
so
1979.
you guys.
I tell people
Okay,
dodgeball
right.
shuts them up.
So then.
So I just to finish my thought, I just thought this time watching it on Prime for whatever reason, this movie looks great.
Oh,
Every
yeah.
shot
It does.
is really pretty.
It's well made.
Yeah,
I-
The cinematography, there's something about the cinematography is gorgeous in this film. And
Mhm.
and I'd like to point out that Hal Hartley, of course, is an American independent cinema pioneer. He was one of the first with like
Yes,
Soderbergh,
he is.
all those guys. But also he writes like dialogue like a playwright, and I like that as well.
Which is
As
a good play. Definitely a
artificial as
two-edged
artificial as his
sword, right?
dialogue
Like writing dialogue like a playwright is a two-edged sword, dude. Because
Agreed.
it's
This
like,
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't
so
work.
once I agree with
New
Scott.
York ass and a lot of those scenes, it was not even fun.
No, sometimes it doesn't work. I think
Lots of people don't like Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet for the same reason.
Yeah.
Being a
Also,
playwright
I'm not-
doesn't
I- you know-
necessarily mean that you can write
A lot of
fucking
people don't
screenplay.
like Shakespeare for the
No,
same reason.
This in terms of the
Yeah,
photography,
that's
I thought
the
I thought
joke,
that-
Jim. Thank you.
I thought the
Thank
scene,
you.
I thought the dramaturgy, the scene placement of the characters in frame was interesting.
yeah. So that's another thing I was going to comment
But
on was
the overall photography I thought was bland. I thought it was just high key and dull. But
no, but there's
I was more interested in the cinematic movement and the placement and the depth of it. That was really
well,
good.
you bring up a really good point because as I watched it again for the I don't know
Mhm.
20th time or something.
Everything's in focus.
Yes, but also
That's the high
how many
key.
people block like he blocks his actors to move within the scene
Yes.
rather than this is actually what mise en scène really is. He
Uh-huh.
doesn't cut to everything. He lets them be close and far away and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Is that the mise en scène horn?
That's the
I
mise en
told
scène
you
horn.
I was buying this for that.
Damn,
But it's true. It's true though.
no,
I
absolutely.
was paying particular attention to. I mean, the only other person that does this as much as I know is like Francois Truffaut. You know what I mean? Like Hal Hartley really directs his actors physically as well. Like
Yeah.
blocking that.
It's
Even
like
though
it's like
there's
anti
things about this movie that I did not care for. I felt like I was in capable hands, which I did not feel in Pumpkin. I felt like nobody was in control of this party.
There
When he
was
does it-
nobody.
He
Yeah.
also knows. He also knows when not to make people move in
Yes.
the scene.
Yes,
Like they sit here for this entire
that's
time.
the whole scene is just them sitting there.
And knowing when to tell somebody not to move is actually, I think, more important than telling somebody when to move. Like
So Hartley produced this, he directed it, he wrote it, and he fucking did the music. That's all his music. And I think that this score is one of my favorite scores I've ever heard in my life. It's so
I don't remember it at all.
So he's the John Carpenter of indie films.
Yeah.
No, in Wikipedia, the score got as much attention as the film itself.
I don't remember it.
Does anyone? But you don't remember the pulsing strings when he's running, and at the end, at the end, is he running toward the plane or is he running away from the plane? Like,
right.
Sometimes though, if you don't remember a score and you like the movie, that's good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember the soundtrack in Pumpkin, but I don't remember the score in this, and I think those mean different things. Like, one of them washed past me, and one of them helped elevate the way I felt about the movie.
Oh,
without you noticing,
perhaps that's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
but
not even necessarily diegetic, just like the difference between
just how
somebody wrote something that literally scores, that underscores what's going on, versus we bought this song that made no impact on me.
I just think that this film has the best, and not because this won best screenplay at Cannes in 97.
And I can see why independent film people would like that.
Because the French don't speak English very well.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that is
I want to point out that the guy here who fucking works in the film industry is like, oh well, the film people would have liked that. It's like, you're the film people, Scott. We're the film people.
But watching this, and again, you shoot enough films, you start seeing using the same lens. Hal Hartley is using like an 80 or 85 millimeter.
Yeah, $11 to make this movie, man.
No, but it's an interesting decision because that movie Network was all done with one 85 millimeter lens.
It's how they used to do things.
He's setting up his scenes and moving his camera pretty far back, and having it all happen way ahead of him.
That's the same with Blue Valentine did that.
Blue Valentine, exactly. There's a very interesting way of putting together a movie. You pick one lens and you shoot the whole. Chinatown was all shot with a 24 millimeter lens.
Yeah.
Really? And yeah, it was. Check it out. You'll see the same lens being used
in super Panavision.
Yeah, and Panavision makes it super wide, but in some scenes the camera's on characters' shoulders, right? But he never changes lenses. I was very impressed by that with this film because it was.
I feel like this is also like
that is. What do you think the effect of that is?
Oh, the
viewer.
The viewer is always in the same position.
Yeah, you're always seeing it the same perspective. It's always
standing the same distance from the characters.
Yeah, right. You're always the same distance.
It's like Otsu, always shot from like a kneeling Japanese person.
Yeah, it's like an Otsu film that respect.
Or like a play.
Yeah,
where you're always a certain distance from the actor.
You can't change your seat.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That was impressive because
unless you're Elon Musk.
Even though the camera's far away, it feels intimate. It's hard to describe.
This is now the Elon Musk horn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. So to me, the downfall of this, the reason I couldn't get with it the first time, and I liked it better this time, is the main character, the way he talks, the things he says,
like a narrator,
the performance. It was just so much of it was just
John, I have a question.
What is beautifully
by main character, do you mean Henry Fuller or do you mean Simon?
The titular character. Yeah, you're
mostly
right.
Henry Fuller.
Simon's the main character.
You're right. You're right. The titular character.
The one who talks
Henry Fool should have been played by Tom Waits from playing the same character he played in Wrist Cutters.
It's kind of the same character. Yeah,
it is.
That's interesting.
But
here I am to dispense wisdom.
No, Tom Waits has more gravitas,
right,
in that role because he's Tom Waits and he has that voice.
Yeah, but I think you don't want to make Henry Fool any more likable than he is.
Not likable, not likable. More gravitas. Like you carry more weight with him.
I think
none of the people in this movie have gravitas.
No. I disagree.
Could never stop thinking this guy's full of shit. So
yes,
it's like,
you're supposed to think that.
You're supposed to. I mean,
that's not the same. That's not the same.
Because Simon gets the Nobel.
That's not the same
Henry Fool is full of shit, and Thomas J. Ryan is perfect because he has enough presence and gravitas where it piques your interest and you want to listen to him, and then halfway through you realize this guy is a fucking nobody.
Tom Waits' character,
and he wrote a bad book.
Tom Waits' character in Risk Cutters is full of shit. Like, it's not about.
But it's a more comedic. I think that he's more comedic in Risk Cutters.
It's not. Okay.
Wait.
What I'm saying is, I want that weight behind it. You can, as a con artist, carry a large amount of weight behind you. I mean, all you have to, like, go look at Scientology. Go look at L. Ron Hubbard. L. Ron Hubbard knew how to talk to people in a way that carried a large amount of weight and convince them to go with him. So in other words, I was never convinced by Henry Fool.
So you're thinking that actor himself, the way he delivered it, did not have enough weight. You're right. Like, give it to Anthony.
Or the direction. It could be the direction.
Give it to Tom Waits. Give it to Tommy Lee Jones, and you got a different movie, right?
Right. Exactly.
Well, these guys are all too old.
I'm actually backing you up on that. I think you're right. I think that might be a flaw in this film.
Well, Chris.
Chad's younger than you, right?
Scott, you.
I'm younger than everyone.
Scott, you brought up something in the chat in that you said this is kind of like a proto.
Okay, explain yourself, motherfucker.
Okay, here we go. Right.
Well,
okay,
I think
let me explain. Let me get it out here. Simon Grimm, he gets really famous. He gets very rich. He has all that cash. Then he does this thing where he switches passports with Henry Fool, so he can leave the country. Because of that, and he now is in trouble for like being, for helping Henry Fool out. What he does is he drops out of society. And you look at the notebooks he does, it's exactly the same as John Doe's.
No, it's not.
No, let me tell you.
No, it's not.
Listen.
John Doe writes in ink.
The things that Simon
no, that's a big difference.
The things that Simon writes are like completely like everyone reads it. The thing is obscene and weird and strange.
Who the fuck is John Doe, the singer?
That's the bad guy from Seven. Yeah. Anyway, then he moves to an apartment in some other city and he becomes John Doe. That's my theory. That's my theory. That films work together. I do.
I thought we were talking about Fight Club. Why are we talking about Seven?
Seven.
I said Seven. I never said Fight Club once.
Yeah.
Oh, I think this is. I think this is more. I think this is actually more like Fight Club than Seven.
I agree.
Okay, it's John Doe and Simon Grimm are the same character. Thank you. All right. I feel justified now.
No, you
only brought up Scott's point so I can make my point.
If you want to argue Simon and Henry Fool
doesn't exist. Right. Henry Fool doesn't exist. Simon is Edward Norton.
Yeah. But that also means Simon fucks both his own mom and sister.
That's not that theory.
It is
some weights as well.
I kept waiting for Simon to fuck Faye.
Yeah,
but he doesn't want to. He doesn't.
I know. That's why
the same person than he did, right?
I love when she yells rapist and Parker Posey goes, "Oh, shut up, Mom."
Exactly. Well, Parker Posey was just nothing but delightful in the whole thing.
Yeah, she is great.
Just so.
I can't remember the name of the woman who played the
mother. What was her character thinking? Her name is Faye, and she's going to marry somebody named Fool. Faye Fool.
Her married name is Faye Fool. Yes, exactly.
But what's that?
She kept Grimm.
You think I look?
She does take Grimm because the name of the second movie is Faye Grimm.
Faye Grimm.
But no, I could look at her eyebrows all day long.
Okay, so the third movie in the trilogy is Ned Rifle. Is that the kid and somehow his last name?
Yes.
What
Ned
the hell happened to this poor kid?
He gets sent to a Catholic away school, and
a boarding school.
No, away school.
I haven't seen that one. I saw Faye Grimm, and basically it stars Parker Posey, and she gets caught up in like this like spy espionage stuff because Henry
Parker Posey
is like.
It's Parker Posey in this universe's version of Burn After Reading.
Yeah, but they're trying to also make it a little bit more like, because even the way she dresses, she's wearing like the female pantsuit and stuff. They're trying to make her look slick, looking like a real spy.
Right. Really Burn After Reading.
It did not get good reviews.
I must admit that I like the Icelandic monster movie better than this one.
I almost picked that one too. No Such Thing.
Oh, I thought you meant Telecast. That was a great. That was a Danish monster movie. Sorry about that.
No, this is Hal Hartley went to Iceland.
Yeah, I don't love
what?
all of Hal Hartley's stuff, but there's
He
something
made an
special.
Icelandic monster movie?
Yeah,
Yes. He makes a movie with like the devil, basically.
it stars Sarah Pauli
Oh, I know of this, but I never
when
saw
was
it.
this?
and Helen Mirren is in it.
Yeah.
too.
And Helen Mirren is excellent.
Yeah,
As
she's like a
always.
chain. She's
But
like a
always.
chain
If
smoking.
that movie did not have a metal soundtrack, though.
No.
Oh,
But like, okay, so Tad just put up behind him like one of the best scenes maybe ever to grace cinema. I think
That's a bold statement.
Yeah.
That's a bold statement.
when he explains there and there is just goddamn fucking brilliant.
Oh, I would have cut that.
Oh, fucking Peavers.
no, it was a good scene. Although it
Fuck that
reminds me
scene.
of the scene with the mom, the looks way too young to be a mom in this film.
Yeah.
And at one point, she's playing the piano, and then she eventually kills herself because it starts.
She read the poem.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
either way,
Well,
she
she
read the
kills
poem
herself
and it makes her
because
kill
she's
herself.
related
Well,
to
that's just
these
one thing,
people.
but
And also,
you realize
and also
at one point she
he
starts
fucked
talking.
her.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
he fucked her and she's related to Simon and
Yeah,
Ted.
and one thing led to another, and exactly. But the thing is,
Yada
she's
yada
also-
yada, dead.
But she's also another frustrated artist who's like, not you. Can we have one person who's not a frustrated artist?
I
please?
kept waiting for her.
Faye is in no way, shape, or form an artist.
God bless her. I thought she was great.
for
and she was
her to do
grounded
the
as a
line.
character.
I kept waiting for her to do the line from
Yes, there is.
5 Easy Pieces. Shut the fuck up, Tad.
I'm not talking to you.
Faye is not a struggling artist, and neither is this film has one of the best murder scene. Well, I guess it's accidental murder.
The screwdriver?
The screwdriver scene.
I would say
That felt pretty
self-defense.
realistic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Self-defense.
self-defense. It's a self-defense murder, but the sound effect and the cut is one of the most gorgeous, disturbing things.
I don't like we've got the end of it coming at the camera. Like that's a thing that we've seen far too many times.
But
But
way
him
it's
going
cut-
and grabbing it and picking it up, that's
it's actually just
great.
laying there, and he just
No, that's what I'm saying. Like
lifts it.
him going up and grabbing it, like that's great. But just coming straight at the camera, no, fuck it.
Well, and the cut too, and we also you got what's his
I don't
name?
care.
He's wonderful too, Kevin Corrigan, who's always good.
The ugly guy.
It was
Yeah,
a
the
funny
guy
scene.
from the guy
He's
from
in
Goodfellas.
every television show made
Yeah.
on premium cable from like 2010 on.
Yeah.
He's in every.
You've got this. He steps into the screwdriver. You've got the sound effect is just makes your like your stomach turn,
And then it
and,
cuts
then
away.
just a cut to his face.
Yeah.
And it was just brilliant.
And the wife covering her ears because she doesn't want to hear another fight in the house.
Yeah.
Although
And-
I
and-
thought the whole family was kind of like a version of a straw man, though. They were there. You knew they were going to be involved somehow in this.
This is a straw
this
Vulcan.
way. Thank you, and that's what eventually happened. You know what I mean? It was like they didn't.
Yeah,
add
but
it.
they introduced them early on as well. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah, I'm saying
I
this is
did
what-
like the whole sort of C plot about him campaigning for the for that
Fear.
right wing
Senator Fear.
politician.
Yes,
Yeah, that was
Senator.
good.
No,
Senator Owen
Representative
Fear.
Fear.
Yeah.
That
I
and the
also
whole
liked-
stuff about the internet. The internet's going to be big, you guys.
That
People are
was
going to get all the
fascinating to me.
media from the
Hey,
Yeah,
he
Tad
was
and I
not
were
wrong.
talking
Was
about
not
this.
wrong.
That's one of the better scenes.
Eerily prescient.
This
Yeah.
is
well, and like Tad said, it covers all this time. So you do see. I love what keeps happening to Mr. Dang's shop. That's
Yeah.
so awesome. Like
Yeah.
the progression of that.
yeah.
That
Yeah,
actually rang true.
No
It's
bear,
like,
we just
there
do
are
his
quite a
oh, so
few
we're
threads
doing
getting
rock
developed.
now. You know, we're doing raves.
And Henry
Exactly.
Henry Fool stops drinking the beer and starts drinking espresso. And
Yeah.
then and then they have the
And then
rock
he
shows.
shit.
Yeah. Like,
Also, okay, well, that's the last.
this is an extremely end of history movie, though. Like this is definitely Francis Fukuyama. Like there's nothing after this point
Yeah.
because every time they jump forward in history, nothing happens. Like the world doesn't change. Like
It
at
would
the
be
end
better
of
with
this,
melancholia.
well, no,
Pre-
but at the
9/11
end of this,
too.
at the end of this movie, which is enough time for the kid to be walking around and taking subways by himself, which in New York is at least 4 years.
Smoking cigarettes, drinking whiskey, going to strip clubs.
Right.
I
Exactly.
like the way his
Doc
mom
Martin.
smells his breath.
But like
That was great.
His throat hurt from smoking.
at least we're talking at least a 10-year jump from the beginning of it to the end of it. So that puts us in like 2007.
Right.
9/11 doesn't happen in this movie.
No, not
like
really, no.
like this
Oh.
entirely exists in the end of history Clinton era world,
Yeah.
where we could have a lot of arguments about who the Nobel Prize winner in poetry was.
Right.
Right.
Like,
Does it matter?
who the fuck knows who won the Nobel Prize in poetry last year? No one, because it doesn't fucking matter, because there's 100 wars going
Well,
on
there
and
is
the
no
world is
Nobel
ending.
Prize in poetry.
Literature.
Literature.
Literature, yes. You said poetry.
You did say poetry.
Right. Poetry is a kind
Well,
of
why-
literature.
okay, so
Thank you.
Yeah, but it's not okay.
Then why did the
Moving
Nobel-
on,
Why did the Nobel Committee's eyes boil out of their heads after they read it?
because the internet told them to.
I guess.
Right. They saw it was popular.
Again,
No,
this is
part of
this is the
Like the
entire
publisher.
this is the entirety of the end of history narrative. It's just whatever's happening today is whatever happening today,
No,
and
it-
that's
you
it.
were around the
That's-
90s. That was the feeling back then.
Yeah,
we were done with
absolutely.
everything. That Clinton.
There's
he-
no tomorrow. There's
No,
no,
no
yesterday.
tomorrow. It's just gonna be like
Everything
this for the rest of
happens
your
right
life.
now.
Exactly
Yeah.
right.
Well, yeah, there was no W either.
Yeah, but
No, because W is what comes from this. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
rest in
But you
piss,
remember that-
Donald
you remember-
Rumsfeld is what comes from this. Like,
you remember that Monty Python sketch where they have the world's funniest joke?
yeah,
Yeah, everybody dies.
That's
Yeah,
a
and
killer
yes.
joke.
That I got that feeling about Simon Grimm's poetry is
Right.
that it was like that was the world's funniest. It was that was, you know what I mean?
Well,
Everyone.
no, it was good that they never read any of it to
But yeah,
you.
we're back. to
my
that-
dog
just
has
talking
no
about this.
nose.
We were just
How
talking
does he
about
smell?
this.
How does he
Terrible.
smell? Terrible.
Yeah, exactly. We had this terrible joke. We had talked about this before, though, about talking about a work that you never show in a movie.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
You
what we're
could-
doing
Because
here.
one of the worst things about the portrait of Dorian Gray from the early 60s is they finally show the fucking painting at the end.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's terrible. You don't fucking do that.
Well,
You
it's
let
the
people
subversion, like-
imagine it.
Like
Right.
the red violin is a really good subversion of that, because you see the violin at the beginning, so you know where it's going to end up. So it doesn't matter how it looks over the stages of time until it gets there, because you saw it at the beginning.
You saw it, yeah.
There's so many lines in this movie, but I just want to do like three off the top of my head. Is he's just gotten beat up by the people who we saw having sex, right?
I could have taken their eyes.
And yeah, he's like, I was gonna do it, and I know I could. No, but the best line is Simon when he's just read a little bit of Simon's poem for the first time. He says, "Are you willing to commit yourself to this? To really, And he says, "Are you?" And he says, "It hurts to breathe." And he says, "Of course it does." And he walks out of he walks out of the bathroom. That one, and then of course, when he's saying he's talking about his confession, and he's like, "Simon, it's gonna blow a hole in this world," and you hear this bottle crack, and he's like, "They're throwing bottles at your house. Let's go break their arm." Without like pausing at all. It's just like he runs it all together.
Jared, I sorry, I want to point out when he said that and I heard the bottle smash, I was like, fuck you, fuck this movie, fuck you. And then the second bottle hits and it's like, oh, okay, fine.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, see, it's clever. I did the same thing, Tad. I'm all, oh, come on. And then I'm all, oh, wait a minute.
They're throwing bottles.
That's great. They're outside throwing bottles at the house. Like,
right.
And then the last one, I mean, there's so many, but these are just the ones. The last one is when he's just had his kid and they're in the hospital. It's the end of that scene. And he says, the world is shit. And he says, yes, the world is shit.
And you have to walk through it.
Maybe you're good at it. Maybe I'm not. It's just like, I'm telling you, there's stuff in here that just speaks
There's
to
some
me.
really good lines in this movie.
The part when the priest is like, no, go back and ask him for $200,000.
Yeah, see if you can get it up to 150,000.
Well, of course, because the priest is like.
Well, the
doesn't have
first time you meet the priest, he says, "I doubt," and he says, "So you're human."
Right.
It's great, it's like immediately they're best friends. And then of course he says, "Say,
But
Father,
no,
have you got
but
any money?"
Henry, and this goes back to the Fight Club thing. Henry's the one who says, "So you're human."
Yeah.
Simon doesn't have any interaction with him at all in that scene.
No.
But later on, after the funeral, when he's sitting there and he's talking to him about the book deal, the priest is the one who's like, yeah, that's a great deal. Go back and ask for more money.
Yes.
Right, 150.
Yeah.
Well, mind you, I thought that, you know, that Simon was kind of like a good portrayal of like someone on a autism curve.
No, he's not. That's
No.
the other great thing. He's
Okay,
I
just,
thought he was retarded then,
no,
right?
he's
yeah,
just
that's
quiet.
No.
He
He's
has that
just-
line. He says, "I am not retarded."
Right,
to
but
Henry.
he's
And
just
that's what-
quiet.
And that's
He's
why
just-
these two films are paired this week.
He's not the
The R
person.
word.
I
Yeah,
think that was a theme, right?
He's not the person who immediately says something. He's the person who stands back and waits and then responds.
Well,
he
yeah,
could also
because
just be tongue-tied.
well,
No,
in
no.
that same scene,
Because
when
he
does
has
say-
multiple scenes in this entire movie where he responds immediately and directly in the correct way.
yeah, he said when he says, you know, let's go break their arms, he stands up and says, "No."
Yeah.
And Henry's shocked because he hasn't said anything. He says, "I don't want trouble." And he's
Right.
like,
Like he's the person who considers the situation and then responds. And like
Be terrible on this show.
He would.
What?
You'd be
He would be
terrible
on the show. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
"This is a show." I'm just joking.
This is a show, Jared.
Oh no.
But okay, yeah, no. If you want, definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. Maybe my favorite movie of all time.